The Warriors just lost game 2. The Niners just opened rookie minicamp. Let's talk about it. What's up? This is the instant reaction to the Warriors losing game 2 and the 49ers starting rookie minicamp. We're going to do both. I'm Grant Cohn. That's Conor Wayland, who writes for 49ers on SI, along with me. Connor, how you doing?
You know what? I could be better after that game. I'll be honest. I could be better, but not bad.
Why don't you show the people what you're wearing? Just the top.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we're going We Believe Warriors. If you don't know who this number is, I'm disappointed. Mr. Baron Davis, the legend himself. Absolute poster machine. Oh.
Connor and I are both from Oakland. He's a fan. I've given up my fandom a long time ago, but when Baron Davis was playing, I was a big fan. And we both went to the same high school, although we were about at least 12 years apart. So we're going to be talking Warriors first, Niners second. But first, want to shout out this week's sponsor, Factor. Eating well has never been this easy. Just heat up and enjoy, giving you more time to do what you want. Get outside instead of prepping food and cooking indoors. Factor meals arrive fresh and ready to eat, perfect for any active lifestyle. Factor powers your day with satisfying breakfast, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt-free snacks and desserts. Get started at factormeals.com/Cone50off and use code Cone50off to get 50% off, plus free shipping on your first box. That's code Cone50off at factormeals.com/Cone50off for 50% off, plus free shipping. Okay, the question of the night. Why did the Warriors lose? They obviously didn't have Stephen Curry, right? Of course, that's the answer. But they beat the Wolves in game 1 without Stephen Curry. This time they got smacked. What was the difference in your opinion?
So for the starting point, right, like to anyone that's saying, oh, well, the Warriors, they didn't have Steph last game and they still won. They already had a big lead and they could kind of play off that. Tonight, the big difference to me is if you watch some of the first quarter, they started off stagnant on offense. Cutting was not good. Screens were not good. They were not holding down on the screens. And even when somebody would set a screen for a player, they wouldn't go for the switch. They would let them fight through. They would let them just quickly readjust, get the same guy on the same guy. Perfect defensive scheme. Timberwolves played really good defense against us when we couldn't figure it out. And Jimmy Butler, he was unwilling to take shots. We had to rely on Jonathan Kuminga. Oh, that's not good. When you have to rely on Jonathan Kuminga, I love the guy, but you can't rely on him because he's not like that, unfortunately. But it's really just a combination of the stagnant offense that really does it, I think, honestly. I'm curious to get your opinion, though.
Well, I agree with you. I'm going to go back to the first quarter. I feel like the Warriors lost the game in the first 5-6 minutes. And I thought it was so interesting. Like, I'm not going to say it's Kerr's fault they lost the game, although he had the wrong lineup. And then, but it's like none of us knew what the right lineup would be. And maybe I would have thought Quentin Post starting was the right move. You're trying to find something that works without Curry. You haven't really done this for a full game without him, with Jimmy Butler out there. So they went with Post, and Post was just really too slow on defense. All of a sudden, the Timberwolves were getting all kind of looks they didn't get in game 1. And he didn't take any shots. So it seems to me and they never played him. They took him out. They were down 13-0. They never really recovered, and they never played him again. So that's where they lost the game. And it's like, to start the second half, they started Kuminga. And what I think was like the silver lining to this game for the Warriors is that they found out like, oh, Kuminga's a good matchup in this series. He's too fast. Like this, they can't, let's say, Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle in particular are too slow to stay in front of him. That guy got to the rim. That guy got his shot more easily than anyone else on the Warriors tonight. Now, it's still Kuminga, and he still doesn't really play with much confidence or seem to know what he's doing, but at least he was decisive and aggressive, and I feel like he gives them a chance. I feel like they found their starting lineup for the rest of the series until Curry gets back.
I agree they figured out the starting lineup. I don't know how I would. You started off by saying that Kerr didn't seem like he know what he was doing, and I completely agree. He played pretty much the entire team. We had a 14-man rotation tonight. That's unheard of in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. It's because he needed to try and put in different players that he thought would work out, and not a lot of people did. To me, it really started to work out when we started to get a little bit of a flow. We started to believe a little bit. Draymond giving that energy out. It started working. Buddy was hitting some clean threes. There were some clean screen actions where they were actually getting around the picks. It changed the game when we were actually able to get it going. And in the third quarter, we brought it down to a 7-point game. We had it really, really close. And then T-Wolves called timeout, and we came out the same that we were before. We lost all of that momentum. So,
well, hold on. Karan, to your point, talks about that that critical moment. Down 7, third quarter. Says they lost the game when Kerr subbed out Kuminga and Draymond with 6 minutes left in the third quarter. As soon as they cut the lead to 7 points, they didn't score for 4 minutes after that, and it was back to 20. I felt the same way. I mean, Kuminga was hot. He was aggressive. He was getting his shots. No one else really on the team, like Butler, we'll talk about him in a minute. Butler floated through the game. I mean, he was efficient, but he wasn't aggressive. Buddy Hield did well, but he didn't. You really don't want him to do more than he did. It seemed like Kuminga was the guy who was stepping up. They took him out, and I don't understand exactly why. I mean, I think he had a turnover or something, and it was punishment for that or something. But it's like, who'd you bring in? Pat Spencer, the freaking YMCA Player of the Year?
Oh, whoa. Okay, let's. Pat had a terrible game, but I love my boy Pat Spencer.
Okay,
I love my guy. Former number 1 lacrosse player in the world goes to the NBA. That's awesome. But to go back to your point, Jimmy Butler, he needed to be more aggressive, and you're so spot on with that. And the reason that he's getting put on the bench during that time, the only thing that I can assume is he did just have that pretty bad, tush bruise. Which I won't lie, I've had bruises on my tush before. It's difficult to walk. That thing, it can be really difficult. And him playing in a playoff series, the most physical game possible in the NBA, I get it. Like, he needs his time, and it's a good opportunity to be like, all right, let's lose a game and let's see what happens. But, oh, man, it was just so bad, man. I really don't know how to feel about that.
This is why I feel like it was just kind of a game the Warriors punted. They fell behind immediately. It's a must-win game for Minnesota. You already took home court advantage. You could see this effort coming. So, Jimmy Butler, 33 minutes, not that much, 6 of 13. Efficient. Only 13 shots, 2 of 4 from 3. If this were game 6 or 7, I don't think he'd play like that. I'd hope he doesn't play like that, because it seems like he was essentially conserving energy in this game.
Yeah, well, it's hard to know because we've never really seen him get completely adjusted into this lineup yet. He hasn't had an opportunity where it was like, hey, Jimmy, I'm going to be so honest, you're the option and we need you to score. He hasn't had one of those since he's been on the Warriors. He'd shown he can do it. He did it plenty of times for the Heat, and I'm not even trying to rag on the Heat, but they weren't the same as the Warriors are with Steph Curry. But now is the time where playoff Jimmy Butler needs to come to play. And there, in this game alone, there was so many opportunities where he's driving to the cup, defenders on his hip, he's got an open lay, and he passes out to the corner. And I'm screaming at myself because he's passing it to Pods, who hasn't made a 3 yet. And it's like, what are we doing? Why are you doing that? You have an open lay. Or at the very least, you can put it up and you can get a foul because you're really good at getting fouls. It's just, mind-boggling.
Yeah, that's also crazy to me. It's like, they know they can play good defense without Stephen Curry, but you figure with him off the court, someone's going to step up and be more assertive offensively. And everyone's like, oh, boom, Jimmy Butler. But he wasn't any more assertive in this game than he's been the last month or so, or since he got injured against the Rockets. The guy who was more assertive was Kuminga. What? That's great, Jonathan, but you can't have Buddy Hield taking more shots than Jimmy Butler. In my opinion, that's a problem.
Okay, I want to point out something that I just saw in the chat. Saying Jimmy Butler is the same as Jimmy G is abysmal. That is a
yeah. Jimmy Butler is
I like you, RT,
Jimmy.
But that is criminal. Jimmy Butler is the guy that led the Heat to the finals twice. Come on. He is a really good player.
Macy Sikander says, "I'm sorry, Steve Kerr is the problem. Bro is experimenting in the playoffs. Reluctance to play TJD will cost him. He doesn't even have consistent lineups. Post shouldn't be playing either. Can't defend." All right, let's talk about that for a second. Thank you for the $10 donation. I'm with him for a second. To me, this wasn't Kerr's best night. You start Post, you got to get him a shot, man. I'm not saying you call a play for him. It's not exactly the Warriors offense, but you got to make it clear to everyone in the starting lineup that you got to get him touches and make him feel involved, because you're starting him for his shot making, not for his defense. If he just is on the court for 5 minutes not touching the ball and trying to play defense, you're going to lose.
I get what you're saying. I do. I just don't think that Post is the guy to do that for, because the only way that you can get him a good look is if the big is willing to help. And the only way the big is going to be willing to help like that is if you have a force driving into the rim. We didn't really have that. Kuminga had some outside shots, to be honest, and he had a couple good layups in the paint. But it doesn't really work. But Macy is spot on, though. I do think Steve Kerr did kind of have an issue tonight. I will say Steve Kerr is kind of notorious for not making a lot of big changes like that and kind of going with the flow with this guy. So I'm okay with it. Do want to go with the Trace Jackson Davis thing. I was high on him last year. He is not the best defender. Post is a terrible defender. So I'm not saying he's worse than Post, but yeah, Trace he got bodied by Julius Randle a bunch. And it was just.
Let me come back to Post for a second. So like what I'm thinking is I grew up on Don Nelson. And Don Nelson was not like a low post centric, offense with his teams. It was much more threes, but he would often get whoever the center was that night, the starting center, whether it was Andres Biedrins or at the end, like David Lee, a touch or a shot or two early, just to make them feel like they're in the flow of the game, because they're out there to do dirty work. And if that's all they're going to do, like they're going to disengage. And a guy like Post, like you're literally out there for offense. So if you're not going to be part of the offense, you got to come off the floor, because Looney can do more on defense, or Kuminga, like you can go small and do other things as well. So that's one with him. I guess the other thing I want to talk about with Kerr, we'll get there in a second. Kuminga deserves more minutes. Pods needs less. Let's go straight to Kuminga in that case. So I feel like Kuminga having a good game today kind of doesn't speak so well for Kerr. It's like clearly there's talent there and you need him. You need his scoring now, but you buried him for the last month. And I bet you hurt his confidence. It's like Kerr's a great coach, but he hasn't really shown that he can develop young players. And I don't know. I mean, does Kuminga suck, or has he not really been developed the right way? It seemed like he had a good game tonight. Maybe he was just random.
Kuminga's one of these really weird cases in the NBA because he has all of the attributes and all of the tools in the world. He's got the athleticism, he's got the bounce, he's got the quickness, he's got everything in spades. My only issue with Kuminga is that a lot of the little things he doesn't do well. He doesn't do a lot of basic things on defense, like squaring up the ball to the rim and making sure you're directly behind it, or dumb passes, or really bad questionable shots, especially when you have great shooters on the floor. That's where my issues with Kuminga have been. My big thing that I think I'm thinking about more is I kind of want Kuminga to get the minutes, even with all of those flaws, for one reason and one reason only. If we're willing to throw away one more game because Steph isn't going to play, I think we're already aware of that. They're planning on doing that. I'm okay with giving Kuminga minutes to let him score and to raise his stock to trade him, because we have to sign that man next year. He has to be a signing. If we don't sign him to a bunch of money, which is what he's going to want, we have to get rid of him. So I'd rather get his trade value up, do a sign and trade, and get somebody useful on the team, because Kuminga, I love him right now. Today, he was great. But in the future, I just don't think he's the right guy for right now. He just doesn't work.
But I do think he was really good in this game. Like, let's forget the past. What I liked about him in this game, one, I think he does as well of a job, as good of a job on Edwards defensively as anyone on the Warriors. He matches up pretty well. I think he makes Edwards work hard. And then on offense, I thought he was the most decisive and aggressive player on the Warriors tonight. And I thought he got his shots more easily than anyone else. Although Butler was getting his shots just passing out of it. Kuminga was actually taking his shots. He was like 8 of 10. And I thought when he actually like got the ball, he would get a lot of these matchups where he's facing up against Gobert. And it's like, oh, you can't stay in front of me. I'm way quicker than you. He got a lot of these blow-by dunks. Man, I felt like his makes were their easiest buckets of the night. And with Curry out, like, man, Kerr, you got to figure out a way to harness this and make him feel like he's an important part of the team, because you freaking need him.
I mean, yeah, we need him right now. I'll give you that.
Right now.
And I will not say anything slanderous about his performance tonight, because there was a long point of time where he was 8 for 8 from the field. He was really efficient. And he, like you said, he made the shots look so easy. But this is where, in the shots that he missed, this is where my issues come in. He makes those shots look impossible. and it just gets intense.
Yeah, what I don't like the Kuminga who's like dribble, isolate, like trying to be, I don't know, Carmelo Anthony or Kawhi Leonard. When he's at his best is when he's almost playing 4 or 5 and he's smaller than the guy he's matched up with, but he's just as strong and he's way quicker and more athletic and he blows by him for the dunk. Like that, if he would just accept the fact that he's a big man and not a wing, he'd be so much better. You have all the strength and bounce to play 4. Remember Harrison Barnes when he would be in the death lineup, and it's like, dude, Harrison, you're like the least confident player on the court. No one wants you shooting the ball. Would you just jump high and get the freaking rebound? And he would do it. That could be Kuminga, man. Be the dirty work guy. But he's like, dude, if he had Brandon Podziemski's confidence and feel, he'd be such a great player, but he doesn't. Podziemski's so confident for no reason.
Yeah, feel, I'll give it to you. Podziemski's confident for, honestly, I think really good reason. I think he makes really good plays. I think he's honestly one of the more underrated players in the league right now. He can be really, really good. And if he's hot, he can be really efficient. Like his peak at efficiency is really efficient. Same thing with Kuminga's. When he's at his peak, super efficient. But I don't know, man. I'm kind of scared at the idea of trusting Jonathan Kuminga for the next 3 games to be the offensive weapon. You know, like that's where my fear really comes in. I just don't know.
Clearly, he shouldn't be the number 1 option. Butler should be the number 1 option.
Yeah.
But they need secondary options. It can't just be Butler, Hield, and Pods. And you're not going to get Draymond raining in threes every night. So I think look, here's what I want to say. I bet you Kuminga starts game 3.
Yeah, I agree. And he should. Yeah. And he should. I don't disagree at all. He should.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be posted. It should be Kuminga.
Says Kerr can't develop. Sounds like Kyle. Very similar. Yeah, except for all the rings. There are similarities between those two. Except for the rings.
I don't know, honestly. I think they're very different. I think Kerr's got a very philosophical. I mean, if you know any history about Steve Kerr and his dad and stuff like that, like his dad was a very much for the people type human. Kerr is a very like good natured dude and will talk to the guys like they're real humans and wants them to improve as just like men. Kyle does not give a single shit about you once you're out of the locker. He does not care. He gives no shits. He doesn't care.
I'm trying. Come back to the Warriors for a second. I'm not trying to say they would have won the game if they had started Kuminga. That's a little bit too. Butler was just too passive, and they're going to need him to be the driving force while Curry's out. And I think he understood like it ain't going to be tonight. So why don't I conserve myself for another night? That's fine.
Honestly
game 3 or game 4, he needs to step up.
Yeah, I honestly kind of disagree with the whole if Kuminga starts, we still lose the game. I think if Kuminga starts, it sets a different tone at the start. And if you're not down like 13 or 15 or whatever it was within the first like 3 minutes of the game, I think that changes a lot. You have a different pace. You got a different feel for the game. You don't have to be, oh, we're down 15, whatever, let's just shoot. Because they looked so stagnant. Like if you get that confidence, I don't know.
There's no reason that he can't be like Andrew Wiggins to me. Like he's not quite the shooter that Wiggins is, but I'm saying like, dude, you're the best athlete on the court. You're 6'8". Can you please get the rebounds? Can you please be great out at the point of attack on defense? And can you cut to the basket and hit open 3? Like we're not asking you to do that much. Like those 4 things. And Kuminga, like Wiggins 3 years ago when they won the championship, he locked in, dude. He shut down Tatum one-on-one. He had games where he had like 13, 14 boards. It's like, Kuminga, can't you have a day like that? You have it in you. You literally have it in you.
I don't know if I agree with Andrew Wiggins comparisons, to be completely frank. Because when I see Andrew Wiggins, I see an elite defender. He's a really good defender. And I see a guy that if you need a bucket, he's going to put up a bucket. Maybe it's a bad shot, but it's going to be something that you can be like, all right, you know what? I'm okay with it. You know, Kuminga, I feel the exact opposite. He can be a liability on defense. He can be very good too, but he can be a liability because of basic, just fundamental things that he won't do.
What I'm trying to say is like, I'm not saying he's a good defender. I'm saying he has the frame, the quickness, the athleticism. Like to me, defense is so much about effort and IQ and technique. I mean, he has the athleticism, but the difference between him and Wiggins is like desire and experience and those things.
I think it's a little more, but I get where you're coming from. Like I see it, and I'm not being like, oh, it's heinous, but like I just kind of disagree with it because I just think
like Kuminga's issue isn't like, well, he just doesn't have the tools to be a good defender. Like, no, that's the problem. You do have the tools, and you're not.
Here's my question for you then: if for somehow, like some way, somehow, we still had Andrew Wiggins and we didn't have Jonathan Kuminga, are we a better team? I think we are. I think we're a lot better if we have Wiggins.
Yeah, because at least Wiggins will like we're like begging Kuminga, like, will you play a role? Will you please play a role? And he's like, nah, I can't. I don't know how to do that. Whereas Wiggins accepted it at that point in his career.
He don't care. He'll do whatever.
And I think it's because you had like Wiggins on the downslide. It's like he already had been a disappointment. He'd already disappointed multiple teams and shown that he couldn't carry him. And now it's like, all right, well, now you're on like, career rehabilitation stage. Like Kuminga isn't there yet. Yeah. He will be soon. 808 says the problem is nobody on this team can dribble. They're going to lose before Steph can get back if they just run this ISO pass around this perimeter. Where is the split post or high post actions?
See, 808 you might have that 49ers as your logo, but you know ball. I'm sorry, Pods does not have a very good dribbling bag. Pat Spencer would dribble the ball to the elbow, then post up and sit there. Crazy. So many people would pick up their dribble at crazy points for like no reason to me. I was like, I don't really get why you're picking it up. I get it. You're getting pressured, but you can still dribble a little bit. I think the lack of dribbling is really, really bad. And if you don't have Steph, it just messes the whole system up.
Well, look, love Pat Spencer, but this team doesn't have a legit backup point guard because that's where like usually the backup point guard is a 5'11" dude who's just like incredible at dribbling, but the Warriors don't have that guy. Maybe they should. All right, let's talk about Draymond Green. So Steph Curry didn't play. Jimmy Butler kind of floated through it. And then there was Draymond, who was playing really well and then just did the thing he does where he like got frustrated, tried to get like draw like a 3-shot foul 30 feet away from the hoop, flailed his arms, hit the dude in the face. I mean, for an all-time great athlete, he just loses control of his limbs like more than anyone I've seen. Smacks a dude, gets another technical, and then is this freaking close to getting another one and getting thrown out of the game. Curry comes on the court, not even playing, to calm him down. Jimmy Butler's trying to calm him down. Everyone's like his freaking therapist out there. They take him out of the game. He took himself figuratively out of the game. They took him out of the game, and he never really re-engaged, in my opinion. Dude, you're 35. That's all I have to say. Dude, what was that? I don't understand him.
I think I'm just going to disagree again. I'm sorry. So I got to watch this game with a few of my buddies, and the entire time they were doing the same thing you're doing right now. They were saying, Draymond, why are you doing this? You always do this. You're going to get suspended, and you're going to cook us, and it's going to be terrible. I will forever stand on Draymond Green doing that, elbowing Naz Reid in the head. I'm positive for it. I'm pro. I'm sorry. I am. And I know how crazy it sounds.
Can I give a quick rebuttal before you, and then you can rebuttal my rebuttal? Dude, you picked up technical number 5. You have 2 left in a game that you were punting. You punted this game. Come on. If you want to check out of the game, you could check out like Jimmy. Jimmy checked out. Jimmy freaking checked out, but he didn't get a technical, man. You smacked the dude in the head again. Smacked him. You like that?
Yep. Right. Yep.
Send a message.
Send a message. And more than that, it's a good way to get your guys a little riled up. Seeing Draymond, I'm just going to be honest. If you are on the bench and you are seeing Draymond Green scream at a referee, screaming at him, telling him it's BS, and he's coming over to you, you're telling me your blood's not boiling a little bit.
Maybe that's why Kuminga played so well. I
don't know. I'm not going to
think about that, did you?
I'm not going to give Draymond the credit for it, but it could be like, I think that when Draymond does his antics and he is doing a quick little hit because he's not liking it or something like that, I think it brings up team morale. And if you look at post-game interviews and all that stuff, all of the team openly says it, that Draymond is the leader and that when he does stuff like this, he's setting a tone. And I believe
it. Okay, but hold on. It didn't work tonight. He played 29 minutes. He had 9 points. He was 3 for 10. He was 1 of 6 from 3. He had 4 rebounds and 5 assists. Yeah. It was not his best performance. He's got to do a whole lot better, and he's got to stop getting technicals in the second round of the playoffs because this is a team that could go far.
They could.
And they really can't afford to lose him. They don't have another big man, although TJD, though. TJD though. Pretty good player.
Let's not get too high on TJD. He got bullied by Julius Randle all night. If we're gonna keep it a buck, but I will just be really honest. I will stand on Draymond Green. I will forever stand on it. It was around, like, I just looked it up real quick to see. It's like 8 minutes left in the half. He doesn't really come. He comes back in for very limited minutes. Then we get to the third quarter. Then momentum changes. I'm just saying. I think that when he does stuff like that, it's helping the team out. A lot of people disagree with me, and I'm okay with that. But I think it helps.
Fair enough. It's Draymond Green. He has nights like this, and then he comes back and he's a champion. So moving ahead, it seems to me that game 1, he did a great job on Randle. Game 2, I felt like he wasn't on Randle as much. And all of a sudden, Randle went for 24, 10 of 17. Randle isn't good.
Whoa.
24, 7, and 11. Like, if you put Draymond on Randle, that's the end of Randle. So, to me, in game 3, you get the right starting lineup out there. You get Draymond on Randle. You get Jimmy Butler on Gobert, who's not a freaking threat to score. You get Kuminga on Edwards. And now you got a defense. I don't know. I actually came into this game feeling encouraged. I feel like they're going to win game 3.
I think they can, but I just don't know if putting Jimmy on Rudy's a good idea, because then you're just going to let Rudy get 20-plus boards and 10 of them are offensive rebounds, and they're getting second chance point after second chance point.
Dude, let them try to run their offense through Rudy, man. He has no offensive game, and he got smacked in the head at the end of the game. Smacked.
Do you think they would ever run the offense through Rudy? They would
never
run the offense.
He can't.
No, because they're
you don't put your best defender on Rudy, man. You almost want to dare them. Throw it to him. Throw it to Rudy, dude.
I agree. You don't put the best defender on Rudy, but you have to put a big on Rudy. That's the rule. And the issue is Kevon isn't going to do it.
Didn't in game 1, though. They went small in game 1 and freaking destroyed him. I think you want quickness. I think you want to run that big, slow French dude off the court. Run him off the court. He's clunky. He's so overrated to me. I don't like Rudy Gobert. And I do like French people, even though they kind of punked out in World War II. I'm not going to talk about that. Yeah, you guys really just
I wasn't expecting that.
It was 3 weeks. It was okay, we quit. Thanks. Yeah. Anyway, going to let that slide. It was almost 100 years ago. But I've always felt that Rudy Gobert is super overrated. And to me, you got to stop. You can't let Randle go for 24. Gobert went for 5 points tonight. He took 4 shots.
What do you mean? Yeah, that's what he does.
You can't let. Yeah, that's what he does. You can't let Randle go for 24. That you lose. Because they're doing a good job against Edwards. I'm pointing at my phone right now, guys. Edwards, 20 points. Hobbled.
No, Edwards, to be completely honest, I don't think he had a very good game. I think he missed a lot of layups. And the big thing for him is he's kind of pulling a Luka and a Jalen Brunson of constantly looking at the refs and being like, hey, man, where's my foul? And it's like, hey, dude, it's the playoffs. So maybe that was a foul a couple weeks ago. It's not a foul now, unfortunately. So that's a big thing. But I think you're kind of sleeping on Rudy. I agree that Rudy is definitely overrated by most people. Everyone agrees. But I think we forget that when the Timberwolves, they brought him in, their defense went from bottom of the league to 4th best in the league. You're paying him to be an elite defender. You're not paying him to score literally any points. And it's because of that. You use him in pick and roll. And tonight we kept Draymond on him, which was, in my opinion, I think the best option, because who else is going to try and out-rebound Rudy Gobert? No one on our team. Kevon's too small. He's 6'9".
See, I disagree with you on that. See, that's why I don't like having Draymond on Rudy Gobert. To me, that's a total waste. I don't like it, because what you're trying to do is okay, well, I'm anticipating the pick and roll. And so now I want to get the switch and get Draymond on. It's no, dude, if you take Draymond off Julius Randle, he's going to torch you. And he's not even good. You can shut down Julius Randle by putting Draymond on him, or you could let Julius Randle go for 25. Up to you. That's the way I look at it. I bet you they put Draymond back on Julius Randle game 3.
You might be right, but to me, this is where then I see it from. Would I rather let Julius Randle take 20 shots and pray that he misses some, or would I rather have somebody on Rudy Gobert that is going to not get rebounds over him, and they're going to get probably 6, 7, maybe 8 different second point chances?
On him. You put Loon Dog on him.
6'9" Loon, 6'9" Loon on. By the way, Big Loon is 6'9".
Rudy Gobert. I'm tired of that dude. All right, I want to talk about Brandon Pods. So, interesting little quirk of the stat sheet. It may not mean anything, but dude was the only dude who was in positive +1. He had 11 points, 4 of 9, 1 for 4 from 3. That means he was 3 of 5 from inside the arc. Also had 6 rebounds and 6 assists. He's a solid player who makes a nice all-around impact. But he pissed me off tonight, man. I'm sorry. You need to be. He's another guy who needs to be more aggressive, dude. 9 shots,
Ooh,
and like you're getting inside the 3-point arc. Like you got good looks. You that floater is open for him all game. Can he hit the floater? It seems to me like he has so much potential to be really good, and he's on the cusp. And he really pissed me off tonight because he wasn't doing it. Not that I'm rooting for the Warriors. I'm just like, come on. I'm rooting for Brandon.
Brandon, you just want Brandon to succeed.
Yeah, I want him to be the best Brandon.
I don't know. Pods had an interesting evening to me. I think Pods, he showed a good bit of aggressiveness in the first half. He did go for the rack a couple times. He had that floater you're talking about where he missed front iron. I feel like that's a really consistent theme with him. He's kind of done that all year. If he misses,
if he could hit that, he'd be such a good player, man.
He can. That's the thing. It's just his efficiency. It just wasn't the best there.
But it's like that should be automatic. That's like the Jalen Brunson all day.
To me, my big thing with Pods was I feel like he was kind of matched up with Div for big points in the game, and Div outplayed him by miles. It wasn't really close. Div hit better shots, more efficient shots, played way better defense than him. And to me, that kind of said everything about the two players. Like, I love Pods, but I do think Div is better than him. And I think when you get a guard that's going to be tenacious on him, his tenacity has been his big thing. But when somebody's more tenacious, they're not going to really do too much. I think he also got the unfortunate bit of
I'm like, who are you talking about? DiVincenzo.
Yeah, Div. Come on.
Of course.
I love Div.
Love Div.
Gotta shorten it.
Yeah, they're similar players, but Div is just like 5 years older.
And also, I mean, you saw it there. Like, if they were playing defense on each other, if you compared both defensive sets, Div was playing miles better defense than Pods was. And Pods kind of, to me, he took the brunt of the offense for the first quarter, I'd say. And it wasn't working. It just plain and simply was not working. The Timberwolves defense is pretty strong, and he wasn't able to get clean shots and clean looks. And if he's not making them and he's not getting clean looks, he's not doing too much else, to be completely honest. And I love the guy, but
I like about Pods is he's this like 6'4" white guy with curly hair who really thinks he's like as good as Anthony Edwards. And he's not. But you like have to have that mentality to even make it as far as he has. And I really appreciate any athlete with like irrational confidence. And I'm asking him to have more of that. Like, dude, you were a little too humble tonight, man. No Curry. Like, take 15 shots. Take 17, man. Like, whoa. Jimmy doesn't want to take them. This is your night. And he did it against the Rockets. I mean, he had that incredible performance against him. He has it in him. He has the green light. Don't wait for Draymond to take the shot. Like, it's you. Anyway.
I don't know. I think he kind of did his best, to be honest, and it just didn't work at all tonight. Even though he was like 4 for 9. Like, I guess that's still a decent split, but it's not good playoff split to me.
It's interesting. We both said they lost the game in the first 13 minutes, and then the commenter came in and be like, "Well, it was a 7-point deficit in the third quarter. It's hard to say." They erased. They were back in the game, and then they took out Draymond and Kuminga. Maybe they keep him in game 3 and they win the game. Hit a couple more players, then we'll take some prize picks and get to football. Buddy. He's a little bit wild out there on defense. They blow by him a lot. But on offense, I mean, he's really terrible inside the 3-point arc. He was 1 of 5 inside the 3-point arc. But behind it, he was 4 of 9.
Yeah, I mean, he had a turnaround early that was pretty clean, and it was like a Buddy Hield shot. I really think Buddy was in the case of just getting screwed by really good defense and not setting good enough picks by the Warriors. Like, there was plenty of plays where they had one pretty early on for like one of the first buckets, I feel like it was, where they had an out of bounds play, set up a quick screen, Buddy runs off it, boom, easy 3. Like, if you do that a few more times and you're able to do it efficient and like screeners are doing well, I think he gets a couple more buckets. Honestly, not the worst 3-point shooter on the team tonight, even through that 4 for 9 thing. I think he was okay, to be completely honest. I don't think he was great, but he was okay. He had a few blow-bys. He got blown by a couple times, but he also had a few sets of some pretty good defense, especially for a guy that is a well below average defender.
They need him taking 9 threes a night. They need him taking at least 9 threes a night. So him going 4 for 9, he did his job. I think of all the people tonight, who would you say did their job? Buddy was 1. I'd say Kuminga was 2, considering he came off the bench and scored 18, let him all in scoring. Hard to say that anyone else really did their job. Like, Draymond didn't have his best night. Neither did Jimmy.
Draymond had a few bad balls and a few turnovers that were kind of sloppy, but I think as a whole, he had a few pretty huge defensive plays. And I think he made a couple threes. I think it was a good Draymond night, to be completely honest. And I think he probably, for the role that he was supposed to be, I think Draymond might be one, just to be honest, just because everyone else, there's no other roles, really. It was pretty much Draymond was the only, and Buddy were the only two people that really knew their roles.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see about Draymond. I'd like to see Draymond get back to making Jimmy, what's his face? Julius Randle look like, who's a Julius who sucks at basketball? I was going to say Julius Irving, but he was great. So
he's really good. Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you about that one. All right. Moses Moody. What do you think about Moses Moody, man?
Oh, great.
Points. 0-5 from the field, 0-4 from 3. He took some like end of the shot clock shots that had no chance. He didn't really do a lot, but he plays with confidence, and you got to respect that.
No, I don't. I don't at all. So I've been around people for the past year and a half that have been telling me every day, Moses Moody, he's going to be the next one. He's really good. He's really good. And I'll be so for real, I've been anti for a really long time because I don't think he has a good dribble. I think some of his shots are abysmal. This was that game. He had some of the worst shots I've ever seen. I'll give him credit. 2 of them were grenades. Grenades is, 3 seconds left on the shot clock, you get the ball. That's depressing. But he was inefficient on offense and on defense. It didn't matter what it was. He was inefficient, and Kerr kept playing him. He kept playing him for some reason. I will never know why, but he wanted to give him minutes, even though he was ice cold. He was Antarctic levels of cold. He was dry ice cold. And he
was minus 13 in 16 minutes. Hold on. Pat Spencer was minus 20 in 13 minutes.
Okay, well, I'm going to open this can of worms right now. Box plus minus is one of the stupidest stats of
You're right. It's just incredible that someone could get that could happen in 13 minutes. But yeah, it wasn't all Pat Spencer's fault, but yeah. Wow.
I mean, I'm a Pat Spencer stan, I'll be honest. Like
even though he had a bad game, played in this game. Why?
You know what we call Kevin Knox where I'm from? We call him Mr. Fortnite. I don't know if you've seen his draft day fit. To anyone watching this, if you've never seen his draft day fit, it is a literal blazer with the inside of it reading Fortnite across of it. It is so goddamn funny. It is so funny. That's all I have to say about Kevin Knox tonight. That's literally it. I have nothing else to say about him.
All right, last Warrior. We'll move on to the Niners. Trace Jackson Davis. He can dunk and he's lefty. What do you think?
Okay, I'm going to give him – I'm not a Trace Jackson Davis stan. I'm going to give him some props, though. He's got bunnies. That alley-oop one-hander, oh, my God. That was mean. That was so mean. And I stood up and I jumped around. I'll be so honest. I jumped around like I was 13 years old, and I was bouncing like, Trace Jackson Davis, oh, my God. But he's kind of a liability when it comes to some defensive stuff. He had some good plays, and his offensive stuff, if he's getting the ball up high, I trust it. Otherwise, I don't really trust it too much.
Game 3, who's winning?
I'm going T-Wolves, and then Warriors are going to get 4. That's what I think. They need another game to figure out how to beat them without Steph. I think they're
going to win Game 3.
Okay.
I think they're going to win Game 3. I think Draymond is going to. He gets a technical every other game. He's going to be locked in. No technical from Draymond. Jimmy Butler is going to take 17 shots, and they're going to win. So I've decided. Quinn Post is going to play no minutes. Quinn Post. Can we talk about Quinn Post real quick? He was minus 13 in 3 minutes. That was it, dude.
Yep.
3 minutes. And it wasn't all his fault, but damn. Wow. Stupid stat. Retarded. Sorry, I can't say that. So sorry.
I got two things really quick. For starters, Emiliano, I feel like you always cook me. You cooked me again with saying that I have a fat head of Spencer's mustache on my wall. I was a lacrosse player, so I love Spencer, but damn, you really cooked me. Bravo. 2, if you want, Grant, if you're so confident the Warriors will win Game 3, you can throw a little bottle of wine on that if you'd like.
Just throw a bottle of wine on it.
Yeah, you want a bottle of wine? That Rosso?
Throw a bottle of wine on it.
We're in. Chat, you've seen it. It's confirmed.
Okay. All right, bottle of wine. It's going down. All right. Speaking of nothing, it's PrizePicks time. Let's hold on. Wait, before we get that, that's not the PrizePicks. These are the PrizePicks. That was the box score. Okay. Let's go Knicks, dude. Jalen Brunson, 26.5 points. Game 3. How you feel?
I'm feeling nicey. Give me the more. JB, that last game wasn't very good. He's going to come out swinging.
More or less. That's the game here. I like the more. Fair. Donovan Mitchell, 29.5 against
the Pacers, man. The Pacers. Were you about to say Miami?
No.
Okay, I'll just put it out there again more. Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and DeAndre Hunter are probably still all injured. He's going to drop like a 40 again.
Okay. All right. What about Tatum?
Tatum has been so cold.
We got 28 for Tatum.
Let's have a Tatum bounce back. Let's go for a more because he's not going to be that bad again.
He can't be that bad consistently forever, right?
There's no way.
What about Tyrese Halliburton?
Oh, dude, give me the over on or the more on Tyrese Halliburton. Give me the more for him. I did it. I'm so sorry. I did it. I love you, PrizePicks. Please don't hurt me.
I told him. All right, Russell Westbrook, 13 points. More or less?
I feel bad continuing to say more, but look at all that green. How can I not say more? It's just green after green after green.
Good call. I like when you say more or less. One of those two.
That's better.
We did more for Tatum, right? On 28, though? I don't feel confident about that.
Then do the less, man, please. Like, I honestly am kind of flip-floppy on that one. I feel
like I got Tatum in here. They okay, that's not what I want. I don't want that one. Okay, these are the picks. Brunson more, Mitchell more, Halliburton more, Westbrook more, Tatum less. I felt good about that. Yeah, these are just for points. Submitting the lineup. Boom. All right.
Boom.
Use promo code Cohn. Play more or less on your own, and you play $5, get $50 instantly. All right, let's talk Warriors. We're in the Warriors. So they had a rookie minicamp today. And
do you mean the Niners, by the way?
Did I say Warriors? I'm so confused, man. I can't even talk anymore. The Niners. It's time to talk about the Niners. They had rookie minicamp today, and it was Robert Saleh's first time talking as the Niners defensive coordinator, his second stint. They didn't do it in the auditorium, which I thought was weird, because last year when Nick Sorensen had his first press conference, it was definitely in the auditorium. And then when Steve Wilkes had his press conference for the first time, it was definitely in the auditorium. It's kind of a nice thing to do, kind of roll out the red carpet for a new guy. But, they didn't do it for Saleh. He's been here before. He was in the media room, kind of informal, same room as Klay Kubiak, Brant Boyer. They posted eventually online. I posted it. We had to take down there's rules. So I'll summarize. Saleh, well, I asked him, I think the thing that was most interesting, I asked him, has your defense evolved since you were here last? He was like, absolutely, of course. Big time. Because you're always trying to stay 2 years ahead of offenses. And then, like you said, a bunch of, what boilerplate stuff after that. But that's a very bold thing to say, that not just 2 steps ahead, 2 years ahead of offenses. What do you think he means by that?
I think he means that the game it's just like really any sport. It's always evolving. So the only way that you can succeed with the evolution is trying to be ahead of it and trying to see what's going to come.
Where it's going.
Yeah, exactly. See where it's going, figure it out, and you can get a rough guess. I like the quote from Saleh, I will say. Is it true? That's the question I have, because I don't know if it's true or not yet.
Yeah, we'll see. I think I know what he's talking about, though. To me, this is where defenses are going. So defenses went to 2 high safeties to take away the explosive pass. It worked. Offenses became a check down, parade. So what are offenses doing? They're trying to be more like Philly. All right, well, we're going to really, really run the ball. We're going to get Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts. We're going to get Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. And we're going to punish you for playing 2 high safeties. So what defenses are doing, they're not compromising on the 2 high safety thing. It's all about being able to stop the run with 2 high safeties. That is what modern defense is about. And then when it's time to rush the quarterback, to me, it's all about the coordinator scheming up the pressure. That's when you hear things about like simulated pressure or whatever the buzzword is that year. It's really on Robert Saleh or Mike McDonald up in Seattle to figure out a creative 4 or 5 man pass rush when you need it. I think that's modern defense at this point.
I think you're pretty spot on, honestly. The thing that I'm now thinking about as this is coming up more, do you think this involves when I'm thinking of safeties that the Niners have? The big one that I think is a run stopper is Malik, of course. Like it's Malik. Do you think he's going to give Malik a bigger role in this defense? Because I think if he does that, that could be a pretty good thing for that. He's really fast downhill, man, and he hits hard. I think he could be.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think we're going to see safeties play near the line of scrimmage that much anymore. I feel like that's kind of outdated because I feel like that's what modern NFL offenses want. 8 in the box, beautiful. Play action, take a shot. And if you play too high safeties, like it really takes the Shanahan coaching tree out of their offense. You can't really call the play action pass over the middle. You just got to run the ball. And they can, but I think it's much more effective to run the ball the way Philly and Baltimore and Arizona do it, where the quarterback's really the biggest rushing threat. Like you're almost happy when Kyler and Lamar and Jalen Hurts hand the ball off. Maybe not Jalen Hurts, but the other two.
Definitely the other two.
And it's like you have a 2-back offense. It's not just like, well, my quarterback hands the ball off most of the time, but like 25 times a game he'll throw, but like really it's 10 on 11. Those teams are 11 on 11 football. And I think Salah's trying to build defenses that can stop that while still not giving up the deep pass, because a team like Philly, they'll beat you deep. AJ Brown down the sideline, Devontae Smith, if you dare them to.
They will. They'll go for it when they need to. I'm really intrigued to see what this new solid defense is going to look like now. Like you've really got me thinking about this, and I think I might have to rewatch a bunch of his old tape and see what his defense were looking like because I'm way too interested now, and I just don't know how he's going to do this. Honestly,
well, in the past he used to have the D Ford type. That guy's gone. Also, he would have like the Richard Sherman type, or Richard Sherman, the 6'3" corner, right? And it was him and it was Akello. And that's what they wanted because they were trying to play cover 3 or whatever. And now they play a lot more cover 4. They play a lot more coverages in general. And it seems like their corners are just smaller. Bernardo Green's the biggest guy they have. He's like 5'11. Lenore's like 5'10. And Upton Stout's like 5'8. Met him today. He's cool.
You really got me freaking out over deep balls with this defense now. Like now I'm like AJ Brown 6'4".
Like, I think okay, here's the thing. So why can the corners be smaller? I think in cover 3, you're really not going to get as much safety help. That guy's in like between the hashes. Yeah. So maybe being tall makes it a little bit harder for the quarterback to like get the ball. You really have to like throw it with a lot of touch and trajectory to get it over a 6'3" corner who maybe he's beat, but he's 6'3" with length and he can make the throw tough. Well, if you're playing 2 high safeties, you're not going to get as many deep passes anyway down the sideline. They're going to be trying to, beat you over the middle or just checking it down. So maybe you want corners who are a little bit more aggressive. I don't know.
I don't even know anymore, man.
I'm trying to think like Robert.
Trying to really get into that head. I mean, I bet Robert was wishing he had like a Pat Surtain on this team right now. Like, and I'm not even trying to throw smoke at some of the corners. Like, I love D'Lo. I love him. Demo. Jesus. Sorry. Other sport.
Yo, so here's another thing that Robert Saleh was asked. I thought was hella interesting. Someone was like, so is this kind of like 2017 where you're starting over from scratch? He was like, nah. We got Nick Bosa. We got Fred Warner. We got Demo. We got Renardo. We got really good players. Those are the 4 guys he listed. And he listed Renardo Green on a first name basis. I was like, oh, okay. Because I would agree with that.
That Renardo Green.
He said we got Malik. No offense to Malik, but he said Renardo. And I have to agree with that. He said we got D Winners. Watch out.
Yeah, I mean, hearing Renardo.
We got Jair Brown. Watch out. He didn't say that.
Yeah. Do you think in that statement, do you think Renardo Green goes ahead of Malik Mustafa?
Dude, I think Renardo Green has a chance to be a Pro Bowl cornerback as early as this year. I think he could be the breakout player on the team this year, even more so than Ricky Pearsall, who's probably going to get a lot of targets this year. A lot of targets.
You know what's crazy to me too? Oh, Cohn's a hater. Look at this man. I did not have Renardo Green being a Pro Bowl.
I've always liked Renardo Green. Love that pick.
I don't think he's got that, but I'm impressed that you do. Honestly, I
remember his first practice at rookie minicamp last year. He was matched up with Pearsall a bunch, and he won the matchups. And that didn't mean that Pearsall is bad. It just meant to me that Renardo's a dog.
He could have that dog stuff to him, especially if you really think about like Demo being like the guy and him kind of being the secondary. They could be a scary corner duo, especially with their attitude too and their kind of swagger too. Like that could be pretty good. I'm kind of intrigued now. Okay.
I'm
Maybe the
intrigued.
playoff window's open.
I just feel
No, I'm
like
not doing that.
just because you have a bunch of rookies and young guys on the defense, it's no reason to write it off. I feel like we've seen the Rams and the Eagles do really well with young defenses. And there's one more thing I want to say. I feel like the 49ers have kind of had an identity crisis since Kyle's been there, because Kyle's the head coach and the offense has like the high profile players mostly. But to me, it's a defensive team. And when they've really made their runs, it's when their defense has been lights out. And I think they need to embrace that. And maybe they did in this past draft.
Well, honestly, I'm really intrigued to see how some of these guys play in big games. Like that's it. Let's say they do make the playoffs. Like, how are some of these rookies going to do in playoff games? Like that's. I'm really excited, man. Football season can't come sooner, but I will say I'm loving playoff basketball.
But that's what's so nice about football, right? Like they could struggle for September, October, November, but the fact that they go through those struggles might mean that they're playing like second-year players by the time the playoffs come around, or they could hit the rookie wall and all fall apart, and you lose in the first round of the playoffs and be like, oh, well, at least we got good experience. We'll get them next year. Probably that one.
Yeah, probably that. I guess it's that. Probably.
I feel like if the Niners make the playoffs, they'll take that as a win, even if they just make it after last year.
You think York would be accepting of that? I mean, yeah, with all the pay cuts,
dude, his expectations. He lowered his expectations so long ago.
True, very true.
All right, Klay Kubiak spoke. The new offensive coordinator. That was my impression of Klay Kubiak.
He's perfect for Kyle because Kyle can still really be the offensive coordinator and he won't matter, you know?
I don't know. Like, first of all, to be fair, being Kyle's offensive coordinator is kind of a ceremonial position because you're not calling plays.
No.
So it's like, it's almost like, okay, I'm here doing a press conference, but it's not my offense. Like, what do you really want me to say? That being said, Mike McDaniel had I'm not trying to bag on him too much. No, Mike McDaniel had this job like in 2020. And he was super dynamic. You could tell like, oh, this is a guy who carries himself like this is a guy who sees himself being a head coach one day. And he's not just coming out here because he has to. He's coming out here to introduce himself to the NFL world. And it worked. I didn't get that feeling from Kubiak. He gave more of like a Nick Sorensen feeling, the more like, hey, you know, I'm just sort of happy to be here and I'm earnest and I mean well, and let's see how this goes. Maybe he's really good. But then he'd give answers that was like, oh, man, like someone asked him, so what's the plan with Christian McCaffrey? He's like, oh, yeah, man, he's healthy. He's doing good. We always want to get him the ball, throw him the ball, hand the ball as much as possible. And they're like, so someone changes the subject. And then like someone else comes back a minute later and like, hey, you know, you mentioned about Christian a minute ago, like all thinking this. Have you really considered at this point in his career, after what he's kind of gone through recently, maybe using him differently? He's like, well, I mean, yeah, you always want to like sort of protect your players, but like he's so good and like he really is so hard to take off the field because he really won't allow you to, that it's kind of tough. I'm like, what? You can't be serious. He's like, It's so hard because he doesn't want to come off the field. And he's not the first coach on the team to say this. It's so ridiculous to me that that's the issue. He's like, no. And people are like, well, he said no. I don't know. Did you hear? Christian said no.
Yeah,
what are we going to do?
That is really, really funny. I will say. It also feels like basic knowledge too. Like I feel like everyone, like you said, we've heard this before. Like, yeah, Christian wants to play. No doubt. Like, of course he wants to play.
Because to me, like this last season didn't need to be so bad. This 6-11 and like the Niners look back and like, well, you know, it was derailed in training. Like, no. You guys were in the thick of things, and then Christian came back. And what did you do? You used him wrong. You benched Jordan Mason. You benched Isaac Guerrero. You gave all the freaking touches to Christian McCaffrey like it was 2023. He wasn't ready for him. He got hurt. End of season. Like, don't freaking do that again, please.
It's like if the Warriors were to play Steph in game 3 and it's like, no, like don't do that at all. Like bad idea. It's very similar. It's like, what are we doing here?
it's just like you just drafted Jordan James. It seemed like you're thinking along these lines. It'd be so fair for you to come out and be like, look, we spoke to Christian. He understands. We've taken care of him. He understands a more reduced role because it's about the team and it's about his longevity and it's not about his freaking stats. He gets it. We get it. It'd be I feel like that'd be something Steve Kerr would say. Steve Kerr's the guy who put Andre Iguodala on the bench for the first time in his freaking career. He gets guys to buy into this stuff, and the Niners can't even get Christian McCaffrey to buy into like 4 or 5 fewer freaking carries again for his own longevity. Like, come on.
You could, you just don't want to. That's how I see it. It's like you just really don't want to because you think he's so valuable. You don't really care about what happens. Like
it's just malpractice to give him a bunch of carries between the tackles, not in the playoffs at his age after what he's been through. I mean, look at how Ben Johnson, who I think is a really good offensive coach, rotated running backs in Detroit. He kept them both fresh. Both running backs were bought in. Neither one resented the other. It worked. And I felt like you have Jahmyr Gibbs, who's clearly better than David Montgomery, but you don't want to use Jahmyr Gibbs like Christian McCaffrey was used because he'll get freaking hurt. They use him in such a great way where it's like, yeah, he'll get 10 to 12 carries, but most of them are in space outside the tackles and getting targets. You're not giving the defense a green light to just dogpile that dude between. Like, no, that's what David Montgomery's for.
He'll be the bruiser. Yeah. And they could have had that, but they just didn't want to do that. Jordan Mason was the bruiser. He was. And they just traded him. That's what they did.
They also asked Klay Kubiak, like, so what do you think of Jacob Cowing? Been working hard. You think he might get a role as in the offense? And he's like, yeah, if he earns it. But the good thing about Jacob Cowing is he's in good shape. It's like, damn, dude. And it's like, what in the world did he do? And then it was like earlier this week, John Lynch went on Chris Sims' podcast and was like, yeah, it was a crazy story, man. We were trying to trade that pick and we couldn't. And we had like 1:45 left on the clock. And then there was Jacob Cowing and this linebacker. And we didn't really feel like we didn't know who we wanted. So we were like, yo, scouting department, raise your hands. And they didn't know who they wanted either. It was split. It's like, oh man, I feel so bad for Jacob. Just trade him now. Trade him now, baby.
The balls on John Lynch to openly admit that too. While the player's on your team, like while he's there, that you're like, oh yeah, you were a throwaway pick actually. Like
we really wanted to trade this pick.
But we like you though. But like you're not going to be starting though. But like
we like you, but we don't like you.
Yeah. We like you, but not like you.
We like you're no Junior Bergen. You know what I mean?
That's
sorry. If it comes down to you or Junior Bergen, it might.
That's a great poll. There's always one poll that you get me with during the stream, and that's the one. That's the one.
Dude, the fact that they took a return artist from Montana because, dude, so did you know that the reason they know about him is because Brant Boyer's son is on that Montana team? And Brant Boyer's son was like, hey, Dad, we got a really good returner. And Dad was like, word. And they drafted him. He better be so good. He better be so good.
That's so much worse than the Raiders GM being like, I want Genty, and then they get Genty. Because, like, at least Genty's really good and it's proven. Like, this guy, there's like, oh, I like him. He's good, though. It's like the
okay, let's talk about Brant Boyer then. So, Brant Boyer, he was cool. He came out, and it felt like, how some type coaches are like rah-rah, and they've like given the speech to players, but then they get in front of media, and they don't really know how to like turn that off, and they start trying to like rile us up. He was like, man, special teams, it's about one-on-one. It's about you and them. And it's not going to be you. It's like, I'm like, yeah.
I'm kind of in. I like right. Boyer. Like Boyer already.
So then someone asked him like, okay, so I don't know if you know about this, but like Kyle Shanahan in the past has said on the record that he's not really trying to win games with special teams. He just wants to not lose them. How do you feel about that? And he's like, dude, I just got this job, man. I didn't even know he said that. He's like, I don't really like to look in the past, man. I don't really like to look in the past. All I know. it's like
straight up, I respect the recovery by Boyer. Like the quick shock and then like, okay, wait, let's not talk about that. Like, hey, let's change it real quick. Like,
it's like, what are you trying to get me in trouble, man? Why are you trying to do that to me, dog? I'm just special teams coach, hanging on. Are you trying to get me in trouble on day one?
I'll be honest. The vibe of a special teams coordinator being like, I love that. Like, I love that. I think that's makes for good special teams. Maybe they'll be decent for once.
Because it's sort of supposed to be you're supposed to be unhinged, right? Like, let's run full speed and throw our bodies into stuff. It's special teams. Yeah, it's fun. That wasn't exactly Brian Schneider's attitude, right? He was very much like, yeah, we're going to make the kicks and punt the ball and cover the kicks. Sorry, that's a bad impression. But you know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. I think I was just looking at Boyer. I'm looking at his history because I honestly did not know too much about him. But he actually has a legitimate history with being a special teams coach. Like, he worked with Vinatieri and McAfee. He had a second-ranked special teams in the NFL in 2021. Like, he actually has a legitimate resume for it too, which I feel like is unheard of for the Niners. Like, that I feel like is crazy to me. Of a special teams coordinator that actually can do this. Wow. Like, holy smokes.
He had a half goatee, not the top, but just the bottom, which I feel is like such a 1999 look. You know what I mean? It's like, it's killer. It's like, I might be in Limp Bizkit look. You know what I mean?
I've seen
System of a Down, maybe. Look.
I think I've seen in the past year, maybe two of those humans, and I'm 90% sure that they both reeked of cigarettes. I'm pretty sure that was the vibe. It was like, you just stink, man. Like, you have too many.
Hold on. JR Romero says, yo, Ashley, when is Niners Collective coming back? Ashley says, ask Grant. I'm down anytime. Miss it too. Hey, we all got fired. I don't know what happened, but Ashley will be back on the channel this weekend. We're gonna do one tonight, but then I pivoted and turned it into a Warriors podcast because the Warriors are playing. But yeah, maybe tomorrow or Saturday, we'll see. Although Saturday they play again. Play again on Saturday. Kind of a big game.
You had to go to your number one hoop, hoop knowledge.
I didn't know you'd be this into you even were like, I was like, hey, do you want to stream after the Warriors game? And he was like, do you even talk hoops? I was like, excuse me.
I did say that. I will say I did be like,
excuse me.
Listen, I just didn't know
hoops since before you were born.
I mean, fair, but oh god, you're gonna make me do it. All right, 2002. That's when I'm born. But January. So really 2001 though, if you think.
Wow, it's all right.
No, I just didn't expect you to have it since you're not a Warriors fan. Wasn't that what it was? Wasn't that the words, or am I wrong?
I watch basketball. I'm not a punk.
Have you watched any of the other playoff series? Because this is my
so much religiously, clearly, because I thought Miami was still in it.
Okay, that gave me my answer.
Trying my best over here. I'm locked in. I watch every game, every night. Sometimes I watch 4 games at once, man, because you know me, I'm trying to be the next Nick Wright.
Yeah, because there is in the second round, there is 4 games going at once. That's how that works.
I have one eye on one game, one eye on the other game, and then the other eye on the third game. Can't hold me back.
See, he's ready. I'm just telling you, though, if you want to watch some good series, you should watch the Pacers Cavs, and you should watch the Knicks Celtics, and you should watch the Nuggets Thunder. This is the best second round I've ever witnessed in my lifetime. It's amazing. I could be tripping, but I'm just saying.
Who played today?
It's just us, just the Warriors. But Thunder and Nuggets is super competitive. 2 MVPs on it. Celtics, Knicks, obviously, that's great. Just Boston, New York, come on. That's
how about
amazing.
I don't watch it, but you do. No, I'll watch it because then we can have a conversation about it. And I think we did it with. I think next time I'm doing a basketball stream, got to be with you because you actually know what you're talking about. I think that's a helpful addition to a conversation. Someone who knows what they're talking about. I think it balances the format out. It's nice.
See, it helps. I'm curious to see what the chat thinks because I think there's already a few people being like, "Dude, no."
I think everyone agreed with me. It's just how it went. But maybe next time. Yeah.
The Cognacs, man. They're really coming out, man.
Well, look, 1,400 people watching. I appreciate you guys coming to watch basketball commentary. I think we did okay. I know my man Connor did good.
Oh, thank you. How sweet. I can't wait for the Warriors to lose game 3 so I can get some free wine from you, though. I'm really excited about that.
All right, we got a bottle of wine on that. Jimmy, you better take shots, man. I believe in you, Jimmy. Thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow. They have actual practice at the facility. I'll be there. It starts at 1.